Something is building in Pittsburgh, and you can feel it. Every move looks close to complete, but one missing piece is holding everything hostage. And the next decision, it might define the entire future of this franchise. If you're locked in with the Steelers like real fans are, smash that like button, share this with another fan, and subscribe right now, because what's happening here is bigger than just off-season talk. Let me ask you something right away. Can a team truly be ready to compete if they still don't know who their quarterback is? Because that's exactly where the Pittsburgh Steelers are standing right now. Not rebuilding, not fully contending, just waiting. And that waiting, it's starting to feel dangerous. This isn't your typical quiet offseason. This isn't a front office sitting back and hoping things fall into place. No, this feels like a team that knows it's close. A team that has already made aggressive moves, but also knows deep down that it's still missing something critical. And when you look at the man behind all of this, Omar Khan, you understand why expectations are so high. This isn't random hype. This is based on what we've already seen. Think about how this offseason started. It wasn't slow. It wasn't cautious. It was aggressive, strategic, intentional. They addressed key areas on defense. They added real talent. And most importantly, they made a statement move by bringing in a legitimate wide receiver like Michael Pittman Jr. That move alone told you everything you needed to know. This team is not thinking small anymore. And when you pair that with a weapon like DK Metcalf, on paper, you've got something that should scare defenses. Size, strength, physical dominance. It looks like a duo that can carry an offense. But here's where the frustration starts creeping in. Because football isn't played on paper. Behind those two names, there's uncertainty. There's inexperience. There's a lack of proven depth that could become a serious problem the moment injuries hit, or the moment defenses decide to double-team your top options and force someone else to beat them. And we've seen this story before, haven't we? A strong starting duo, but not enough firepower when it matters most. That's why the rumors about adding another receiver aren't just noise. They make sense. Real sense. Names like Quentin Johnston, Dontavian Wicks, and Jalen Hyatt aren't being mentioned randomly. These are players who bring something different: speed, explosiveness, unpredictability. And that's exactly what this offense is missing: another layer, another threat, another reason for defenses to hesitate for just 1 second. And in the NFL, that 1 second can be the difference between a big play and a wasted drive. But it doesn't stop there. Shift your focus to the offensive line, and suddenly, another concern jumps out, especially on the left side. Health questions, consistency issues, uncertainty in a position that demands stability. And that's why a veteran like Taylor Decker becomes such an interesting option. Not because he's the best in the league, not because he's a flashy move, but because he represents something this team desperately needs right now: reliability, experience, stability, control. Sometimes, the biggest upgrades aren't the most exciting ones, they're the ones that prevent everything from falling apart. Now let's talk about something that could change everything: the draft. Because this is where things get really dangerous, in a good way. The Steelers aren't sitting there with limited options. They're loaded. 12 picks, 12 opportunities to reshape the future. And if there's one thing we've already learned about Omar Khan, it's this: he is not afraid to move. He is not afraid to take risks. And he is definitely not afraid to go get his guy. So let me ask you this. If there's a true game changer sitting in the top 10, whether it's a dominant offensive lineman or a game-breaking wide receiver, do you stay patient, or do you go all in and trade up? Because don't be surprised if that exact scenario plays out. This team has the capital. This team has the need. And more importantly, this team has the urgency. But even with all of these possibilities, trades, signings, draft moves, there's one shadow hanging over everything. One question that refuses to go away. Who is the quarterback? Because let's be real for a second, none of this matters if that position isn't solved. You can stack weapons. You can fix the line. You can build a championship-level defense. But if you don't have clarity under center, you don't have control of your future. And right now, there is no clarity. Everything feels like it's on pause. Like the entire organization is waiting for one decision, one answer, one domino to fall. And that brings us to the name that's been quietly gaining traction, a name that could completely flip this situation overnight: J.J. McCarthy. Now before you react, before you get excited or frustrated, just think about what's happening here. This isn't random speculation. This is coming from a situation that's developing elsewhere in the league. The Minnesota Vikings suddenly have a crowded quarterback room. And when that happens, things change fast. When teams bring in multiple quarterbacks, when competition gets tight, when roles become unclear, someone becomes expendable. And if that someone is a young quarterback with upside, now you've got a market. And from the Steelers' perspective, you can see why this conversation is happening. Because let's remove the biggest variable for just a second. Aaron Rodgers. As long as his situation remains unresolved, everything else feels like a backup plan. Every move feels temporary. Every decision feels incomplete. But what if that decision doesn't go Pittsburgh's way? What if Rodgers doesn't come? Now suddenly, you're not choosing between options. You're reacting to reality. And that's where McCarthy becomes interesting. Not because he's a proven superstar. Not because he guarantees success. But because he represents something completely different. Youth. Upside. Flexibility. He's the type of quarterback you take a chance on when you're not just thinking about this season, but the next 3, 4, 5 years. And yes, there are risks. You're betting on potential instead of production. You're trusting development instead of experience. And for a team that looks ready to compete right now, that's not a small decision. That's a statement. So here's the question of the day, and I want you to be honest. If Rodgers doesn't come, would you take the gamble on J.J. McCarthy, or would you go all in on a veteran and try to win immediately? Drop your answer in the comments right now. Because this is where the fan base starts to split. Some fans want stability. A proven leader. Someone who can step in and take control from day one. Others are thinking long-term. They're looking at the bigger picture. They're asking, why not build something sustainable instead of chasing one season? And honestly, both sides have a point. Because when you step back and look at the full picture, this isn't just about one player. This isn't just about one move. This is about identity. What kind of team are the Steelers going to be? Are they a team that's ready to contend right now, willing to do whatever it takes to maximize this roster? Or are they a team that recognizes the opportunity to build something bigger, something more stable, something that lasts? And until that quarterback decision is made, we won't have that answer. That's why this moment feels so intense. That's why there's this strange mix of excitement and frustration. Because you can see the potential. You can see the pieces coming together. You can see a roster that is clearly better than it was last season. But at the same time, you can feel that something is missing. And it's not a small piece. It's the most important position in football. And here's what makes it even more dramatic. Time is not standing still. Other teams are making moves. Options are disappearing. And the longer this situation drags on, the fewer choices you have left. That's what creates urgency. That's what creates pressure. And that's exactly where the Steelers are right now, standing at a crossroads. On one side, there's a clear path: secure a veteran quarterback, finalize the roster, and push for contention immediately. On the other side, there's uncertainty, but also opportunity. Take a chance on youth, reshape the timeline, and build for something bigger. Neither path is easy. Neither path is guaranteed. But one thing is certain: the next move will define everything. Not just this season, but the direction of the franchise for years to come. And as fans, this is the kind of moment that tests everything: your patience, your expectations, your belief in the front office. Because you want to believe. You want to trust that the right decision is coming. But until it actually happens, that tension doesn't go away. It builds. It grows. And it turns every rumor, every report, every small update into something that feels massive. So yeah, something is definitely brewing in Pittsburgh. The moves so far, they've been strong. The foundation, it's better than it was. The potential, it's real. But until that final piece is in place, until that quarterback decision is made, this story isn't finished. In fact, it feels like it hasn't even truly begun.